Check one, two. Check 1, 2. Talk to me. Talk to me, Brian. Yeah. Can you kill the music for a second? There you go. And get a check on my line. How's my line? 1, 2, 1, 2.
Sounds good.
Sounds solid?
Yep, sounds solid.
Cool.
All right, I think we got everything running.
Okay. Oh.
What are you using, a hotspot?
No, I'm using wireless. My hotspot doesn't work well here at East Carolina, in Greenville, North Carolina. I've got a Will's got the AT&T hotspot, and I've got the T-Mobile, and T-Mobile doesn't have they don't have LTE service in Greenville, North Carolina. So the best I can get is like a what would the guy tell me? Like a G2 speed, not even G4. Still got me? Still good?
Yeah, still good.
Okay. How's it sound compared to last night?
Sounds good.
Okay.
It's time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Bill Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
And a pleasant good evening to you and yours, and welcome into Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. Once again, from 3 different locales as we've begun the NCAA baseball tournament. A big come-from-behind win for the Gamecocks here in Greenville, North Carolina. That's where our Phil Kornblut is stationed. Also, Professor Tom Hayes in our Columbia studios. I am currently just adjoining Clemson Doug Kingsmore Stadium. We're in one of the offices across the way. The NCAA prohibits us from broadcasting inside the game site itself. And also, there is Mother Nature wreaking havoc here in the area as we are under a weather delay. We were scheduled to start at 6 o'clock here, but lightning in the area and potential rain also has at least forced the start of this game back for at least now. And we will keep you updated on a potential start time. But we'll start in Greenville, where, Corn, I tell you what, it looked like South Carolina, the usual malaise against Southpaws looked to be wreaking its ugly havoc, but then the most unlikely of heroes catalyzed the USC offense.
Absolutely. And welcome into our coverage here in Greenville, North Carolina, and many thanks to the folks here at East Carolina. Like you over at Clemson, they've taken great care of us here in Greenville, North Carolina. We have a nice setup. We're across from the stadium. The way things are set up here at East Carolina, you have the baseball stadium, football stadium, basketball arena all close together. Then there is a meeting building across from the baseball stadium and in the same parking lot area, but about a, 100, 200-yard walk. And that's where we are, in one of the offices, one of the coaches' offices. And not too far away from me is where they're having the post-game press conferences right now. Ohio State, the losing team, going in first, and then South Carolina will follow, and we'll bring you the comments from the Gamecocks coming up here in just a little bit. But yes, indeed, the Gamecocks were, well, they were shut out until the 7th inning, and they were trailing 2-0 going to the bottom of the 7th inning. And you're right, the left-hander that Ohio State started, Connor Curlis, was outstanding through those 6 innings that he pitched. He kept the Gamecocks off the scoreboard, and he kept them off balance. He allowed just 4 hits. He gave up a double and 3 singles. Adam Hill pitched well for the Gamecocks. He gave up an early home run in the 2nd inning to fall behind 1-0. He threw 92 pitches before they took him out. Eddie Demurius came in, gave up a run in the 7th, and the Gamecocks trailed 2-0 going to the bottom of the 7th. But then they struck for 5 runs, and you mentioned it, one of the most unlikely heroes of them all for the Gamecocks, Danny Blair, came up with the Gamecocks trailing 2-0 and 2 on board, and he cranked a 3-run homer to right field. The home run, the first one given up all season by the Buckeyes' outstanding closer, Seth Kinker, who did not have it today. He gave up those 5 runs in the 7th inning. Gamecocks go up to take a 5-2 lead. Then they add 3 runs in the 8th, so they win it 8-3, 8-14-1 for the Gamecocks, 3-9-1 for Ohio State. Now, a little bit of a concern, and this is what we need to find out from the press conference. Justin Rowe, who had another good day, 3 for 5, but on his last at bat, a base hit, he seemed to hurt himself, and he had to come out defensively in the 9th inning, top of the 9th. Madison Stokes, who had been the DH, went into play second base for him. So we've got to find out if there's anything wrong with him. Also, L.T. Tolbert, in one of the most strangest-looking events at home plate that you'll see during an at-bat, he fouled a ball, and it came up and hit him in the face. I think it hit him in the jaw. He was able to stay in the game, but that stung him a little bit. So a team that has been just decimated with injuries all season long picked up a couple of more bruises here today. But the good news for them is that they were able to win it 8-3, and it was Demurius picking up the victory, his 7th of the season. He's 7-0. Graham Lawson came in, pitched the final couple of innings. He picked up his 3rd save. The Gamecocks will now rest, and it was very hot today in the mid-90s. Humidity wasn't overwhelming, but it was still hot and draining out there. But they can rest up now till 5 o'clock tomorrow. They'll play the winner of East Carolina and Wilmington, which will get underway here in a little bit.
It's funny, Corn. You mentioned the foul by Tolbert there. I literally read an article just yesterday about how many of the Major League Baseball players are switching, to those C-flaps like Giancarlo Stanton has, and a couple of the other players in the major leagues have those C-flaps that come over the top of the cheek. And one of the reasons is you're seeing a lot more, because of the launch angle, a lot more of those foul-offs that come up and basically hit you right there in the jaw. So for the extra protection, a lot more of the players are using that. As I said before, Clemson currently in a weather delay. It's 77 degrees right now. There is a severe thunderstorm warning in the area here in Pickens County until about 6:45. So the tarp is on the field right now. We do not have a scheduled start time as of yet. I will go ahead and take the hit for all of you, just because of the fact that I tweeted earlier today from our Sports Talk account that there was not going to be any rain, and let's just say now there is. Also, of course, Coastal Carolina playing right now. They are scoreless after a half inning in their contest going on in Conway. They play LIU Brooklyn. Anthony Veneciano, the New Jersey native, starting against someone from basically his region, LIU Brooklyn. Again, no score through the opening half inning. Also, a big day for South Carolina recruiting, not just football, but also basketball, Corn, as they get up a pair of commitments today, one for each. And you have to think that compared with that and also the baseball victory, it was a banner day to be a Gamecock fan.
Oh, no question about it. The day began with defensive end Joseph Anderson of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, announcing on Twitter a commitment to USC. He's taking an official visit to USC this weekend. He headed down to the Gamecocks in Alabama and Notre Dame. So that's pretty good company there if you're South Carolina. He is the 13th commitment for USC, the 4th on the defensive line. And then this afternoon, Trey Hannibal, 2019 point guard from Hartsville, announced a commitment to South Carolina. So Frank Martin, who's had a little bit of trouble winning some recruiting battles in state, gets a big one there for the 2019 class, his first for that class. And Hannibal has been playing with the AAU team out of Charleston, so he is teammates with Josiah James and the folks down there. And so that could work in South Carolina's favor as they continue to recruit the big guy, James, 6'6", out of Porter-Gaud there. So, yeah, big day on the recruiting front for both USC football and basketball, and a good day, a big day on the baseball diamond as well. Always good to get that first win in a regional, not having to fight your way back through that loser's bracket on a Saturday. That's really, really tough.
And according to your colleague, or at least our fellow media colleague, David Cloninger, he is saying, relaying the words of Mark Kingston, who is speaking presently, they say just a cramp for Justin Rowe in the ninth inning. The heat, of course, really much contributing to that. As you mentioned, the humidity not necessarily as big, but obviously hydration certainly of big paramount concern. Rowe was cramping up in the ninth. He'd stay good by tomorrow. The humidity here is, let's just say, it's downright Singaporean, very tropical right now. It feels like 77, but the humidity is at 75%, so it feels incredibly sticky out here. Just an update from what has happened here already. Vanderbilt beat St. John's in the opening game of this regional. They got it done at a very brisk 2:45. So Vandy, a 2-0 victory over St. John's. The guy who basically ended Clemson's season last year, Drake Fellows, pitches 7 scoreless innings for the Commodores, just 3 hits, 2 walks, 8 Ks, and the Commodores advance on to take on the winner of the Clemson-Morehead State game, which is scheduled to at least begin some point tonight because of the rain that has kept us in. But Pro, I have to say, you know, South Carolina looked very dead in the water. Just your opening comments on what we saw today in Greenville.
Yeah, I think probably it's one of those things where South Carolina, again, sort of timing off because of the left-hand, only a left-hander, but a left-hander that throws junk, as I like to call it. But the other key is, in as far as Ohio State is concerned, you worry about your pitcher starting a game and then having to throw in that heat that they're not used to. Do I take him out? Do I go to my closer? And sometimes when you take a good pitcher out who's going strong and you put your closer in, the other team's batting lineup says, thank goodness he's out. Now let's go to work. And that's what happened today.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated on what's going on here with the Chanticleers in Conway, also what's going on here in Clemson, and also post-game comments from the Gamecocks.
I'm back. I'm back. Still got me good?
You good?
Okay. I just never know. Always checking.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Welcome back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. We're brought to you by the South Carolina soybean farmers. Using your data to make informed farm management decisions improves your sustainable footprint. Show your commitment to sustainability with a free truck magnet available now at unitedsoybean.org/sustainable. This message brought to you by your South Carolina soybean checkoff. Just continuing to update you here. We still do not have a start time at Clemson because there is a severe thunderstorm warning, in fact, for Pickens County and also for central Greenville County in the upstate, as a Doppler radar picked up a storm moving east at 55 miles an hour with 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Radar indicated impossible damage. So if you are in the area or getting ready to come to Clemson or in the area, please be sure to be safe as possible. Again, we are indoors across from the stadium. No real danger to us right now as we are kind of indoors. Keeping an eye on what's going on with Coastal Carolina. They're playing LIU Brooklyn right now. They're in the opening inning with no score. We're going to have an update here at the bottom of the hour. We'll have updates throughout from Lane Harris of Shot to Clear Sports Network, who is very kind to join us here to keep us updated and abreast of what's going on in Conway. Some of the other scores, in fact, in that regional, 7-1, big victory for Washington as they are victorious over UConn to at least advance on to the winner's bracket there. The winner of that game will take on the winner of the Coastal and LIU Brooklyn game. As we said before, Vanderbilt beat St. John's here 2-0. They're in the winner's bracket game at Clemson. The other game in Corns region, ECU and UNC Wilmington, will get started at 7. Other winners today include Florida, who beat Columbia 13-5. A big victory for Oklahoma, who wins 20-10 of Mississippi State. That's in the FSU regional, where things are playing for right to possibly see the winner of this Clemson regional. Oklahoma State beat South Florida 9-2. UCLA over Gonzaga 6-5, Texas Tech 9, New Mexico State 2. North Carolina shuts out North Carolina A&T 11-0. Auburn beating Northeastern 13-4. Arkansas a 10-2 lead over Oral Roberts. A&M currently clobbering Indiana 7-0. Cal State Fullerton 2-0 over Baylor. Troy 5-0 leading Duke. They're in the 5th. 6-3 LSU leading San Diego State. I believe the games in the Oxford Regional in Mississippi were all postponed because of weather, so we'll keep you updated on when they announce a start time for those. Corn, are you back from the press conference over at with head coach Mark Kingston?
Yes, I am. In fact, we'll bring that to you at the bottom of the hour, just able to listen to a little bit of Kingston. The players had already finished up, but he said that what you were alluding to, just a cramp for Rose, so everything should be fine there. And Tolbert, of course, is still he's okay despite taking a foul ball to the face. Adam Hill, they took him out after 4 innings. Or in the 5th inning, he had gone 4. He was in the 5th, and they took him out, and he had a little bit of a issue. I didn't catch exactly what it was, but I noticed when he came out prior to it on one of his pitches before he ended up walking somebody, that's when they took him out in the top of the 5th. He kind of reached down and rubbed his side a little bit, and I think it was mentioned in the press conference that he might be a little bit of an injury question. I didn't hear any details on that, but that brings me to a key moment in the ball game. The Gamecocks were trying to hang in the ball game at that point, and they were trailing Ohio State 1-0, and Ohio State loaded the bases in the 5th inning, and and Demurius, in fact, he came in for Hill, and they had an intentional walk to load the bases. This was a big moment in the ball game, and Demurius got Dingler, the guy who hit the home run, to hit a pop up to second. Then he got a ground ball, fielder's choice to end the inning. That was a big, big moment. The point is that despite giving up the home run, Hill did a good job of keeping the game close. Demurius came in and did a good job of keeping the game within reach. And then finally, I think Pro made an excellent point there when they took out the starting pitcher for Ohio State. He was at about 110 pitches. His career high, or his season high, might have been his career high, was 113. And with the heat, I don't know if his tank was empty. I wasn't in on Ohio State press conference. Maybe his tank was empty. Now, the closer who they brought in, the guy with 15 saves, an ERA of 1.49, he is a guy that had gone multiple innings several times this season, so it was not unusual for him to try to come in and get a 3-inning save in this particular case, but he just did not have it. And maybe you're right. Maybe the Gamecock hitters were like, man, I'm so glad this junk is gone and we can see something straight. And they teed him up, and again, Blair's big 3-run homer just turned everything in South Carolina's favor. But it can't be forgotten how well Hill pitched and how well Demurius pitched in keeping the game within reach until the offense could finally come around. What is a little bit of a concern going into tomorrow night's game, probably against East Carolina, is that they had to use 2 key relievers in an extended period today because Hill could not get through the 5th inning. Hill ended up throwing 92 pitches. Demurius, who worked 3 innings, threw 65 pitches, and Lawson, who worked the final 2 innings, threw 32 pitches. So in that heat, you just don't know if either of them will have anything available tomorrow if needed. That's why Cody Morris needs to go deep into that game tomorrow night if he can.
Yeah, no, I don't think Demurius or Lawson will be able to pitch tomorrow. You still have Sawyer Bridges in relief. You have possibly Carmen Majinski, although they might try and save him at least for a possible start if they need to possibly go into a loser's bracket game the next day or something of that nature. But you also have the possibility of using somebody like Logan Chapman out of the bullpen. I mean, there are options, but it's funny, Pro. So much of this is you have to secure the win today, and I think that's the one thing is that while doing that, you risk compromising the games that could follow. Yeah,
and I think the other key is how these guys can bounce back. Obviously, you don't want to use them at any point tomorrow. Let them get their rest in, but I would think only pitching 4 innings, even in the heat, if his muscle pull or whatever he may can come back and at least be a reliever if you're still in the game in the 3rd or 4th game of this tournament.
Well, it's weird, Hill Corn. I know he did pitch well. I mean, I'm not trying to devalue what he did, but a lot of it, like you said, was kind of some Houdini acts. He did put 4 men on via the free pass. He did have the strikeout numbers up, but 92 pitches through 4 innings. I know that again they won the ball game. It was only a 1-run game when he left the game. In my mind, you got to get more out of that from the guy who's starting out your NCAA tournament. In my mind.
Oh, there's no question about that. I mean, they moved him back to the ace position as the #1 starter, and you were hoping he could go deeper than that. Going back to that 5th inning, by the way, something that won't show up in the box score, but was a huge play. I talked about that pop-up to second. Well, actually, it was a pop-up that the second baseman, Rowe, ran down the pop-up down the right field line. He made a great play on it. But the important thing was bases were loaded. He was quickly able to scramble to his feet and get the ball back to the catcher, Taylor, quickly enough so that the runner could not advance and try and score from third base. If he had not been able to quickly recover and get the ball in, it would have been a 3-0 ball game at that point. So that was critical for South Carolina at that particular time. Bases loaded in a really dire situation. You're already you're down 1-0. You give up 1 run. You're down 2-0. And Ohio State was looking to blow this thing open. That was the thing with Ohio State. They got the home run and they had other opportunities, but Hill and the defense time and again came up with a play to keep Ohio State from building a big early lead, and again kept the game within reach until the hitters finally came down.
And I mentioned the game with Troy and Duke. Troy and Duke are playing in the Athens Regional, literally just down the road from here, about an hour or so in Athens, Georgia, in the Athens Regional there. And they are currently in a rain delay in the 5th inning. Georgia and Campbell play in the nightcap of that regional. It was supposed to start at 7:30. It will not start on time. And again, they are in a rain delay just like we are at Clemson. Coastal Carolina had ducks on the pond in the opening inning against LIU Brooklyn. They had second second and third, but failed to score them. Pop-up ends the inning there, and Coastal Carolina cannot scratch in the first. So 0-0 as they head to the second between them and LIU Brooklyn. Again, South Carolina an 8-3 victory over Ohio State today, and we're also waiting out the rain here with Clemson and Morehead State. Winner of this contest will play Vanderbilt. Loser will have to take on St. John's in the afternoon time losers bracket elimination game tomorrow here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. We'll hear from the head coach of the Gamecocks and some other players as well when we continue here on Sports Talk, as they have just wrapped up their press conference, and we'll give you the rest of the NCAA tournament coverage continuing here on Sports Talk.
Okay, Brian, I am going to get you Gamecock audio here in just a moment. I'll email it to you to the regular email address, so have your email open.
All right.
Get this cleaned up so we can see how long it is.
Hey, what do you want me to do? Just you're gonna bring Lane in, or are you bringing us back and then going to Lane, or?
Let's go to Lane first, so you can let Will do that. Get Lane on the line, and Will can toss it to him, and he can toss it to me, and then I'll toss it to you. Toss salad. Oh. Corn, you are an idiot. Okay, maybe this. Yeah. Well, I'm not as stupid as I thought.
Hey, just text me when you send that audio, just in case we're back.
Okay. See. Rowe, Blair, and Lawson.
Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network as we come to you from Clemson, from Greenville, North Carolina, and from the capital city of Columbia. And also we bring in someone who is a correspondent for us in Conway. Coastal Carolina playing in the NCAA Regionals round right now in Conway against LIU Brooklyn. Lane Harris of Chanticleer Sports Network joins us now on the line. Lane, what do you have for us?
Not a whole lot right now. No hits on the game, a 0-0 score in the top of the second. Coastal starting pitcher Anthony Veneziano comes into the game with a 6-1 record. He had a pretty easy first inning, helped out with a couple of Ks, and catcher Matt Beard threw out a runner trying to steal. Right now in the top of the second, Long Island Brooklyn has their shortstop on second base with 2 outs. Coastal in the bottom of the first got a couple of runners on base, walked to the leadoff hitter, and then another walk to Kevin Woodall Jr. Then an error by the pitcher trying to pick off Beard at Corey Wood at second base, forced the runners up to second and third base. But that's where the Coastal rally came to an end right there with a strikeout on the last play. 0-0 here in Conway. Not a whole lot of action. Great crowd, great weather, great turnout by the Teal Nation.
Thank you so much, Lane. We'll keep you posted, and you can keep us posted, and we'll keep going back to you. We'll talk to you at the top of the hour. Lane Harris of Chanticleer Sports Network, and he wasn't lying. It looks like a fantastic atmosphere. Watching it right now on ESPN3, it is quite packed at Springbrook Stadium in Conway. Let's go back to Greenville in North Carolina, where Phil Kornblut has the post-game action from the Gamecocks' 8-3 victory over Ohio State. What's up, Korn?
Yes, indeed. Gamecocks just wrapped up a couple of moments ago. Justin Rowe, Graham Lawson, and Danny Blair in the interview room, along with Mark Kingston. They began with an opening comment from Coach Kingston, and then some questions to the players, and then more from Kingston. So I believe if we have it back at our Columbia studios ready to go, producer Brian Leonard, producer extraordinaire, one of the great producers in all of America, in fact, in all of the world, as I'm buying him more time to get everything ready to rock and roll here. And I'm hoping and crossing my fingers that the audio is there and ready to hit the airwaves. We can go listen to the beginning of it right now with Mark Kingston delivering his opening comments following the Gamecocks' 8-3 win over Ohio State.
Well, great NCAA regional game. I'm glad we came out on top. Both teams played really hard in some pretty intense heat out there. And at the end, we just got hot. Tip your cap to Connor Curlis. I thought he threw outstanding today. And we just were able to get to their bullpen. They've got a very good bullpen. So I was happy that we were able to break through against them.
Questions for the student athletes. And guys, if you can help us move the mic in front of you when you're asking a question. Thank you.
Danny, when you came in for your first at-bat, did you know about Kinker's stats, how he hadn't given up a home run all year?
I didn't know the stats exactly. We went over him a little bit in the scouting report, and we knew that he was their go-to guy out of the pen, but I really didn't know too much about his stats. But I knew he had good stuff, and he would be a tough guy to hit off of.
Madison said you had 2 strikes.
With 2 strikes, I was just looking to just score the guy from third, put a ball in play. And, I didn't think it was flying too much in BP today. So when I got it up, I thought it was a sac fly, but then carried a little bit.
What pieces do you see that ball through the fence?
Feels pretty good. I've had a few home runs in my life, but probably the best feeling yet. Turning second base and then looking at your team, that's probably the best part about it.
Yeah, it didn't seem like you knew really what to do at the plate there after you attacked.
Yeah, honestly, I couldn't tell you what I was doing. I don't even remember.
Danny, for you to go through a season coming, I think, hitting like 186 and step up in a big moment, how are you able to stay so locked in, not knowing when your opportunity may come throughout the course of the game?
Yeah, well, I think that's the challenge with my role. Coach says just always be ready, and like you said, it's tough because you never know when it is, and it could be often, it could not so often. So just have to stay locked in as best you can. And I feel like I've been able to do that for the most part. When I come in, just do my job.
Justin, you had some really outstanding defensive plays out there. A little bit in the ninth. Think you'll be okay?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't until the 9th where I started cramping up. I felt good all day. I'm just trying to play good defense for our pitchers at pound zone. I'm trying to do my part. If I can get to a ball, I'll do my best to it. I'll be good by tomorrow.
Justin, how would you describe the jolt of that home run from Danny Blair?
I don't even know what I did or said after I saw it go over. I think I get a cold towel on my head, and I saw it go over, and I think I threw the towel on the field. So I was pretty excited. I mean, I think everybody's looking forward to playing on the stage, especially for a program like this. That's what you come here for. That's what strive to do, and I'm glad it worked out today.
When Danny hit the home run, just a ton of emotion for all guys. I mean, I think I chest bumped about 5 guys in the pen. But, once that settles down, I get back to work. Still got to stay locked in and focused. Just want to attack the zone. I got some of my best stuff today. But, we tacked on a few more to go into the 9th. And, still try to do what I try to do, roll some ground balls, attack the zone, even though not my best stuff, see what I can do to help us win. We'll do whatever I have to do tonight, be ready for tomorrow and all the rest of the tournament. I'll try to do what I can for us. I've been able to bounce back, several times now, and look forward to try to do that again.
When you break through like that, it ignites everybody. Guys not in the lineup, guys in the lineup. And once we saw, I guess a ball fall, I felt like we squared up some balls early in the game. Hunter, I thought put great swings on it all day. And once we saw one fall, it just kind of lifts you up a little bit. And I think that was the big thing, just finally seeing one go. We've been doing it all year. I guess it's just kind of our motto, never give up. We're tough. We're a tough bunch. It seems like it's happening a lot lately. We'd rather, I guess, jump out early and, put on some more runs late. But whatever we got to do to win, and that's our mindset. And right now it's working pretty well. I don't know about frustration, just kind of waiting when we're going to break through. We have a great lineup, and it's bound to get going at some point. And I guess it was when Danny got in and did what he did.
Coach, what made him curl us so tight? He changed speeds and was just wild enough to change eye level.
Yeah, I mean, he did what lefties do to get guys out, and why all programs want to have good left-handed pitchers. They keep you off balance. They make you reach for balls. They make you roll over. They make you pop up. He had only the 4 strikeouts today, but only the 4 hits and no earned runs too. So lefties like that, they just keep you off balance. And at the end of the day, that's why he was successful.
Any questions for the student athletes? Okay, thanks, fellas. Coach,
thank you.
See you, man.
For you. Second.
You need me to slide over? Does it matter?
Okay. If you're comfortable, stay there. Okay, open it back up.
Mark, how were LT and then Adam? It looked like you kind of strained something.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be South Carolina baseball if we didn't have some cramps and some guys getting banged up a little bit. Had to replace Rowe late with Stokes going out to second base, but you know what? That's what we are. It's just find a way, and we'll be fine. We'll be fine, ready to go tomorrow.
And did you think Blair will start?
Well, we'll look at it tonight. Obviously, we say it all the time. If you play well, you play more. That was a big jolt he gave us today. So we'll evaluate it. We haven't been afraid to make decisions throughout the course of the year that we thought would help us. So we'll evaluate that tonight. I'm sorry. His numbers were ridiculous coming in. And, Coach Current said the win probability when he came in at that point was probably not real high for us based on his numbers and based on how we were swinging the bat throughout the day. I just think, he threw some pitches that we put good swings on. And, Hunter started it with that little bloop to right field and then just took off from there. I thought getting the big bunt down kind of said, hey, all right, we're back in this thing. If we get a hit here, we got it. And then it just took off. My guess is he just probably made, some pitches in the middle of the plate a little bit more than he normally would.
That is a little bit from head coach Mark Kingston and the Gamecock players after their 8-3 victory over Ohio State. Again, they will take on the winner of ECU and UNC Wilmington tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock in Greenville, North Carolina. That game between ECU and UNC Wilmington getting underway here in about 17 minutes' time. Still in a rain delay here at Clemson. We have no update to give you as far as a scheduled start time, but the rain that was supposed to come in supposed to last until at least around now, if not next hour or so. So we'll keep you updated on that. Still no score also in Conway between Coastal Carolina and LIU Brooklyn. And, of course, recruiting next on Sports Talk.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We'll say he's going to read the golf and let you read the Pocono.
Okay.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Welcome back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Still in the rain at Clemson, and it makes me think about possibly a getaway, whether you need a quick getaway or a relaxing stay at a beach resort. Check out Founders Federal Credit Union. A vacation loan from Founders can make things happen for your vacation. Apply online at foundersfcu.com/vacation. If you're not a Founders member, though, you can visit relaxjoinfounders.com to see if you qualify for a membership. Coastal Carolina has marked in the bottom of the second inning with a pair of runs, thanks to some infield woes from the Long Island Blackbirds. We'll get an update from Lane Harris at the top of the hour from Conway. Some local flavor on the PGA Tour leaderboard right now at the Memorial in Ohio. The former Clemson golfer Cal Stanley is your current leader by 2 strokes over Byung-Hyun An. He is at the 14th hole. He already shot 6 under yesterday. He is 5 under for the day today, 11 under for the tournament. And, of course, Wesley Bryan in the mix as well, 3 off the lead. He shot 4 under today, 4 under yesterday, so back-to-back 68s for him has him in contention. Dustin Johnson tied for 12th, 6 under par, 5 off the lead. Tiger Woods has already holed out with an eagle today through 16 holes. He is at 6 under par after shooting even par yesterday. He is 6 under for the day. Billy Haas tied for 24th. He is at 5 under, 6 off the lead, held by Stanley. Lucas Glover is at 3 under par for the tournament. Phil Mickelson at 4 under par as well. And Kevin Kisner, after shooting 74 today, is at even par. What's going on at Pocono, Corn?
We had qualifying today at Pocono, and Ryan Blaney, he won the pole, 176.897. Kevin Harvick next at 176.807. Jamie McMurray, Martin Truex Jr., and Kyle Busch round out your top 5. Unfortunately, no full Monty on NASCAR tonight. At the bottom of the next hour, he's got graduation exercises that he is attending tonight, so he will not be with us to talk to NASCAR. But Ryan Blaney has the pole heading into Sunday.
And again, we will talk golf with George Bryan III. Hopefully talk a little bit more about Wesley's round after we get Lane's update at the top of the hour. But speaking of updates, Corn, you have an update on a big recruiting day for South Carolina.
Indeed, it has been to this point for the Gamecocks. We'll begin on the football side with USC getting a commitment this morning from defensive end Joseph Anderson out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He announced it on Twitter. He actually did it with a video of with a friend of his. I guess it's kind of a coaching situation with a group that he works with there in the Nashville, Murfreesboro area, and they put together about a 9-minute video interview session with him, and he finally got around to saying it was going to be South Carolina. He picked the Gamecocks over Alabama and Notre Dame, though he had many more major offers from across the country. Bobby Bentley built a very strong relationship with him over his recruiting period. 6'2", 245, and he plans to sign and graduate early. He's commitment number 13 for the 2019 class and the 4th on the defensive line. We'll stick with football here. Receivers coach and offensive coordinator for USC, Brian McClendon, scouted receiver John Mechie, 6 feet 195, out of Hagerstown, Maryland this spring and offered him. And they continue to develop their relationship. And Mechie is very interested in taking an official visit to USC. He said it is something that he is considering. He had 11 touchdowns last year, 616 yards. Right now, Alabama and Penn State stand out the most with him. He has an official to Penn State on June 8th and one to Alabama on June 15th. He is looking at South Carolina for an official as well. Others on his short list are Notre Dame, Michigan, Georgia, Kentucky, Nebraska, and Tennessee. He is actually from Hagerstown, Maryland, but he will play this year and attend school this year at the Petty School in New Jersey. Also in football, running back Michael Dukes at First Baptist recently announced he'll concentrate on football in college and not pursue basketball. He's ended his AAU basketball participation for the summer. His latest offer was from Temple. That's his 13th. He said Auburn and Duke are new schools showing interest. He plans to take an unofficial visit to USC this month and also one to Clemson. He also plans to camp at Clemson. USC running backs coach Bentley and Clemson's running back coach Tony Elliott remain in regular contact. USC offered 2020 defensive lineman Trayshawn Mitchell, 6'3", 290 of Suffolk, Virginia. Dorman offensive lineman John Gillott was offered by Rutgers. And the big basketball news for South Carolina, the first commitment for Frank Martin in the 2019 class. It is point guard Trey Hannibal out of Hartsville. It was offered by USC the middle of May, and it took him a couple of weeks to finally decide that USC is where he wanted to attend school. He is a guy that for Hartsville was a very good scorer at 21 points per game, but he also was a very good distributor of the basketball, and he would hit the boards when necessary. On the season, this past season, he averaged 11 rebounds per game and also 6 assists per game. Coastal Carolina, College of Charleston, Stetson, Western Carolina, Oklahoma State, and South Carolina State among his other offers. But after visiting USC and developing a relationship with Frank Martin and assistant coach Chuck Martin, he decided that USC would be the place for him. So that is the first commitment for Martin in the class. One other thing I wanted to mention related to recruiting and the 2018 class, DJ Burns, the big center out of York Prep. A lot of talk out there, a lot of rumors on the internet and websites about him going to Tennessee. Wes Mitchell at Gamecock Central put out a very strong prediction saying that it was going to be Tennessee, and the national recruiting guy for Rivals chimed in that it's a lock for Burns to go to Tennessee, which may very well be the case. So I checked with Burns today, asking him indeed if it is pretty much a done deal for him and Tennessee. And he wrote back to me saying, quote, it's a lot of assuming going on. That's why I stopped responding to the sports services and the recruitment services. All they want to do is leak it or post it first. I'll be committing soon. I'm not saying I'm going to post it, and then everyone will know. So can't tell you anything more other than the fact that he's not appreciative of the word leaking out there, but that's the recruiting world. But there seems to be, at least from those guys, a strong feeling that it's going to be Tennessee for him, which would be a significant loss for the Gamecocks, who need good players in the 2018 class. Now, we're talking 2018 for DJ Burns. He's a big-bodied, good player that South Carolina has recruited with a lot of effort. And, you know, if they lose him, they'll just be flat out being beaten head-to-head by Tennessee for this guy.
Well, they'll have to look for another trade, because obviously this was a Joseph Anderson for Bryce Thompson trade, so they'll have to do a basketball trade.
Yeah. Well, here's the one thing too, Corn. You know, and they're not all like this. And I'm not trying to impugn the young man, but at the same time, you know, these guys, at the end of the day, they all want attention until they don't want it. So it's like, I mean, you know, it's one thing, and then again, he could go to Tennessee, he can go to South Carolina. I just know that, you know, getting that first mark in the in-state class for South Carolina in 2019, because we've been talking about how big the prospects are this upcoming year, and the fact that you basically need to make that happen early on. It's something that, at least in my mind, if you get one, others might follow.
Well, going back to Burns, I mean, yes, I mean, the players this day and age, most of them, not all of them, but most of them, they want to make a splash on Twitter in some form or fashion with their announcements. So they don't want to confirm anything that anybody else might be reporting to try to beat them to their own punch. They want a video, they want an edit, they want an interview, they want something out there to make some noise on Twitter when they make their decisions. So he may very well have his mind made up for Tennessee, but he wants to be the one to announce it and make that splash with it. So we'll continue to monitor it. I'm still going to consider South Carolina a possibility for him here until he says otherwise.
Still 2-0 Coastal Carolina leading LIU Brooklyn there in the third. Anthony Veneciano still on the hill. We'll get another update from Lane Harris, Chanticleer Sports Network, coming up here at the top. We'll talk to George Bryan as well about the golf in Ohio and the South Carolina flavor that is certainly at the top of that leaderboard. And maybe we'll have a start time for you here at Clemson. We're still looking like at least an hour away from a potential start, if at all, because the tarp is still on the field. And we haven't played any baseball yet, folks, so we'll keep you updated, and also more from the Gamecock win over Ohio State.
Numbers were ridiculous coming in, and Coach Current said the win probability when he came in. Yeah, generally Danny goes in there late. It was after Noah's last at bat. Point we just felt like, what. couple of just the heat getting to some guys. And so he wanted to stay in there. But at that point, we just felt like, you know what, with the Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Phil, you there?
Yeah.
Text me George Bryan's number, please.
All right, I'm sending you Yusuf English right now. We'll call him at 7:30 after the baseball report.
Okay.
He's Trey Hannibal's coach. And you need George? You said you need George Bryan? You have got to keep these numbers. You've got to keep your list. We call these guys every week. You should have it somewhere. Let's make a list. Let's get in here and let's get a list so we don't have to do this. George, G-E-O-R, Bryan. Here we go. Coming at you.
I got Lane ready.
Okay. 803. Then we'll go to George.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Welcome back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. We have another packed hour for you here as we continue our coverage not only from Clemson, but from Greenville, North Carolina, and the capital city. Of course, earlier today, it was the South Carolina Gamecocks, an 8-3 victory over Ohio State. We'll bring you more from head coach Mark Kingston coming up at 7:20. We're also going to hear from the latest Gamecock commitment on the basketball floor. His head coach is going to join us at the bottom of the hour, Yusuf English of Hartsville. He will join us at 7:30. We'll also hear from the winners of the opening game of the Clemson Regional, Vanderbilt, who beat St. John's 2-0. Their head coach, Tim Corbin, has Clemson and Presbyterian connections, too, inside the area. Former Clemson assistant Jack Leggett, former Presbyterian head coach. And, of course, they won the regional here last year over Clemson. So we'll hear from him. And he harkens back a little bit to his time here in the upstate, and also gives a little preview of what we might see tomorrow from the Commodores after their 2-0 victory over St. John's. Playing currently now in Conway, Coastal Carolina is on the board. Lane Harris is covering things for us here in Conway. What's going on, Lane?
NCAA tournament comes to Conway in the Conway Regional. And just after we got off the air with you guys back at about 6:30, the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers in the bottom of the second scored 2 runs without the benefit of a hit. Opening 2 batters, Lee Sponseller and Parker Chavers, both drew walks from Blackbird starting pitcher sophomore Patrick Klein. And then the Chanticleers proceeded to play some small ball as Keaton Weiss, the sophomore third baseman, comes up, lays down a perfect sacrifice bunt to move the runners up. But Patrick Klein, the pitcher, his second error of the game, throws it past the first baseman, and Sponseller comes all the way around from second to score easily, moving Chavers over to third. Weiss ends up at second. And on the next play, Gary Gilmore, again playing small ball, pulls the safety squeeze, and Matt Beard lays down a beauty that allows Parker Chavers to score and give the Chanticleers a 2-0 lead as we head now into the top of the 4th inning. Sophomore pitcher Anthony Veneziano with a 6-1 record has done marvelously tonight. He has struck out 6 of the 9 batters he's faced. Great crowd here in Conway. Great support from the Chanticleer Nation. Chanticleers up 2-0 over Long Island University of Brooklyn.
Thank you, Lane. We'll continue to check in with you. We'll do so at the bottom of the hour as we continue here on Sports Talk. What is that you said to me in my ear, Brian? I didn't. We have at least some trouble getting with our friend George Bryan here as we continue on Sports Talk. So we'll bring you the birdies and bogeys as soon as we possibly can. We can tell you Kyle Stanley has dropped the stroke on the 15th hole. He is at 10 under par, 1 up on Byung-Hyun An and Joaquin Neiman, a new entry into the leaderboard. Wesley Bryan 2 back of the lead. And as we bring in Wesley's father, George Bryan III, Corn, for a little addition of birdies and bogeys for this week as they play at Jack's Tournament up in Dublin, Ohio.
Absolutely, and it's happy times for the Bryan family right now as Wesley, who has had his struggles in terms of his performance, but I know he's a happy guy and he loves playing golf no matter what happens, and it never gets to him. But playing good golf and being in a position to win golf tournaments makes everybody happier, and Wesley's in that position after a pair of 68s. He's at 8 under par as we welcome in the daddy-o with us here, George Bryan III, birdies and bogeys. And what do you think about his performance thus far and the way Kyle Stanley has been playing, even though, as Will just mentioned, he gave a shot back, still on top of the leaderboard?
Hey, that's pretty neat because Kyle's playing really good. Clemson went to Clemson, and then also Dustin's playing good. And I'll tell you, this is way better in person than what we see on TV. TV's good, but you don't have that depth. You can't see the, I'll say, the undulation and the contrast. This is a spectacular place, and I can see why all these great players do well here. It's a lot of fun seeing some of the locals do well. A lot of fun. Hey, Phil, you made a comment, though. Friday nights have been I spent time with Wesley this spring Friday night when he wasn't playing the weekend, and he doesn't change. You can't tell if he's making the cut or if he's in contention. He's the same. It's funny. I'm very entertained by it, really amused by it, but you can't tell when Wesley's missing the cut or in position to win. No difference.
Well, I mean, you're playing so much golf. You're playing practically every week. You got to maintain that even keel. If not, you would go crazy. But he is playing very good golf so far in this tournament. He's got to feel good about being no more just a couple of shots off the lead. And you never know in a golf round. It's like a pitcher on the mound in baseball, since we're covering baseball. You never know. I mean, Ohio State trots out this really great closer today, 15 saves, best ERA in the Big Ten, and South Carolina clubs him, and they couldn't hit the guy in front of him. So why has it come together for Wesley this weekend, you think?
You know, there's he's been hitting it really, really good, and his distances are a little different. We're a little different than last year. When you do something the same way for a lot of years, and even if it's a few feet, that's still a big difference. And the edges of these PGA Tour courses, one thing I hear all the time, and I used to believe it, the web.com courses, they're really hard, or whatever these courses. The PGA Tour courses are just incredibly tough. You miss a little bit, an edge, a couple inches one way or another, and the penalty is extreme. And so he's hitting good shots, but a little bit off with his distance, not necessarily direction, and it's penal. And so the only difference that I see, everything looks the same, but those edges, where at TPC's, he lands his ball 4 or 5 feet longer in the number 17, it bounces over the green into the water. Well, today, for example, he didn't do any of that today. And so there's very little difference. So it's a fine line. You know, I can see that pitcher throwing great pitches to one part of the lineup or the whole first part of it, and throwing those same pitches next time around and get hammered. It's a fine line.
All right, let me ask you about Doc Redman. He just took off his tiger paw and put on the dollar signs. I mean, he's ready to go chase the dollars on the tour. He's 5 over. Probably not going to make the cut as things stand now. But what do you foresee for him down the road?
Doc Redman is really, really good. I had the chance and the privilege to watch him play at Harbortown, and I'd heard about him, but not seen him play. This young fella has got the game to make impact out here in pro golf. There's no question now. You know, it's one of those things. This is a fast stream, but it requires a lot of patience, and I hope he can get in. You hear all kind of things about how many events they get to play in, and he's good enough to get it done in that 6, 7, 8 events. And Joaquin, that young fella, Neiman, I had lunch with him in San Antonio, his first event, and I watched him play a little bit. You know, he could easily get it done in that period of time, those 8 events. These guys, but Doc Redman is really, really good. No surprise if he plays well enough to earn his card. But hey, speaking of Doc Redman and Clemson, I watched Lucas hit a lot of shots at this event. He's playing really, really good. I'm not sure how he did today. It was hard to tell, but he's playing really good as well.
Well, Lucas better play good, because Mama won't be happy if he's not.
That's a low blow. No comment.
Wow, Corn.
That's out of bounds. That's close to a serious breach.
Corn, you know that he's not going to say anything bad about the local kid now. Come on now.
I wasn't asking for anything bad. I'm just saying he needs to play well, because, somebody's not going to be happy, as we saw a couple of weeks ago.
But I'm not. No.
Lucas has shot 74, 3 under for the tournament. He's tied for 44th. Stay safe, Wesley. Stay safe to Wesley, George, and give us an update next week. And we'll start getting ready for Shinnecock here in a couple weeks.
Oh, that'll be fun. And, hey, fellas, y'all continue to have a good weekend. See them high, but shoot them low.
That's Wesley Bryant, or that's George Bryant. I keep calling him Wesley. George Bryan III, Wesley's father. Wesley again, 2 off the lead from Kyle Stanley. More from South Carolina head coach Mark Kingston next.
Yeah, generally Danny goes in there late.
Oh, great. Oh, great, 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 great. Let's see. I can.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Sports Talk brought to you by the South Carolina soybean farmers. Using your data to make more informed farm management decisions improves your sustainable footprint. Show your commitment to sustainability. We'll have free truck magnet available at unitedsoybean.org/sustainable. This message brought to you by the South Carolina soybean checkoff. Just updating a couple of scores from around the NCAA tournament. East Carolina has taken a 1-0 lead in the opening inning over UNC Wilmington. The winner of that contest will face the Gamecocks after South Carolina's victory over Ohio State, 8-3. More from Mark Kingston in a moment. Coastal Carolina still leads LIU Brooklyn 2-0 in Conway. Still 5-0 Troy leading Duke. The reason we're watching that game is because that game is in Athens, Georgia right now, and that has direct impact, at least the weather there has direct impact on basically when we'll start here at Clemson. Still no start time released yet. Was Tim Beret, who told another media member, Mike Uva of Watch Fox here, covering the series for them there. He told Mike Korn that we might not start until 10.
Yeah,
the way the radar looks.
Well, I was going to say to you, have a nice evening, because Clemson is notorious this time of the year, and I've been to many, many regional baseball games in late May and June up there. It's not necessarily the rain, it's the lightning, or the threat of lightning. They have these sensors around the campus and around the stadium area, and if they pick up any kind of activity related to lightning within, like, I don't know what it is, 30 miles, 25 miles, they send off a warning, and then you have to wait at least, you have to clear the stadium, and it's at least a half hour after the threat has passed by before you can come back in and start activities again. So it's a long, long delay.
Lightning has affected the start of the Florida State evening contest there as well. They were supposed to start at 7 in their game against Samford. They won't start until at least 7:45. The two games in Oxford, Oxford, Mississippi, got washed out. Missouri State and Tennessee Tech, Mississippi and St. Louis also did not start. And, of course, the Campbell, Georgia contest, which was supposed to start at 7:30, will not start on time because of Troy and Duke being pushed long as a result of what was going on there. But we have a little bit more from Mark Kingston, Corn, after the Gamecocks' victory 8-3 over Ohio State earlier today.
Yeah, for those just tuning in, let's just recap how this occurred for the Gamecocks. They trailed for much of the ball game. They couldn't do anything with Ohio State starter Connor Curlis, who pitched great for 6 innings. But, you know, baseball's a funny game, and they brought in their big closer, Seth Klinker, to start the 7th inning. 15 saves. That's the best in the Big Ten. 1.49 ERA coming in, the best in the Big Ten. He did not have it. Back-to-back singles, sacrifice bunt, 3-run homer. All of a sudden, the Gamecocks are up 3-2. They add a couple of more runs in that inning, 3 more in the 8th inning, and the Gamecocks go on to win it by a count of 8-3. Eddie DeMurias gets the win. He's 7-0. Graham Lawson the save. He has 3 on the season, and Adam Hill pitched well. He just didn't pitch very long. Gave up just 1 home run, 1 run and 4 hits in 4 innings. The big blow, the turning point, 3-run homer in that 7th inning rally by Danny Blair. Interesting. He was a defensive replacement for Noah Campbell after Campbell struck out in the 5th inning, and Blair goes in the 6th for defensive purposes, and he becomes the offensive hero. Funny game, baseball. Here's Mark Kingston.
Yeah, generally Danny goes in there late. It was after Noah's last at bat there, his 3rd at bat. At that point, we wanted to make sure our best defense was on the field to try to keep the game close. And it's funny how that works out sometimes. The guy goes in there because he has a skill in one area, and then he gets a chance and he hits a 3-run homer. So that's why we all love this game, because you just never know what's going to happen. I thought that was one of the key points in the game. Intentionally walking that guy and then getting out of that jam, I thought was one of the key moments in that game. It could have gotten away from us at that point, and then you maybe never see these heroics late. So I thought that was huge. Eddie did a good job of keeping it close. No earned runs in 3 innings. That's a big key why we won the game. We'll go with Morris.
Coach, here in the back, just how happy are you for a guy like Danny Blair, who just heard him talking, he has to wait his turn. It's not always easy for a guy coming off the bench. Wait his turn and deliver.
Yeah, and he'll be remembered for a long time. As we talked about it before this week, what you do in the postseason gets remembered a lot longer than him hitting a homer during the regular season. People would forget, but I think that home run under the circumstances will be remembered for a long time. So you're always happy for your players when they have success. He's worked hard. He hasn't played as much as he wanted, but he's kept working. And so the game tends to reward guys that do that.
Coach Justin was talking about how you guys had a lot of late comebacks this season, but as the tournament progresses, would you like to see your team get off to better starts offensively, especially?
Well, of course, absolutely. That's absolutely. We'd love to win 10-0, but that just doesn't seem to be how we play. I mean, I said it after the game. Every day we show up. I don't know if we're going to win. I don't know if we're going to lose, but I know we're going to fight. And today was just another example. Gamecock fans that have watched us play all year have seen that time and time again. So even late, it was going to the bottom of the 7th, and we were down 2-0. You just felt like, you know what, we're not dead yet. So just keep fighting, keep battling, don't panic, don't press, and if we do that, the game seems to come back to you. So it's exactly what we did.
Also, with the Heat, did you guys feel like you were the physically fitter team as the game kept on?
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, we had to take a guy out with cramps. They didn't. So I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything at this point.
Coach, I know you would have liked to have Adam Hill go deeper into the game. Didn't work out like that. So how important does it become for Cody Morris, given some of the guys used from the pen today, to at least go 5 or 6 tomorrow to kind of spare your bullpen at least a little?
Yeah, very important. Very important. We need to get more than 4 innings out of our starters. Everybody does. So yeah, the fact that we had to use Eddie and Graham for 5 innings today puts it on Adam to come out and give us a little bit of length tomorrow. And if he's on top of his game, I think he'll have a chance to do that. Well, I know everybody that's been out there for the last 6 hours is really glad they're going to be able to sleep in tomorrow and not necessarily play the whole game in 95-degree heat again. So I think it's important. It's more important that you get in the winner's bracket. You know, it's one thing to say we don't want to play in the heat. It's another thing to say you don't want to play in the loser's bracket. To win a regional, you know, I think our best shot is to win straight through. So we'll get a chance to rest tonight and play the late game tomorrow.
Got one more question.
Adam came out, or a trainer came out to see Adam. Is Adam okay physically? Or?
Yeah, he was fine. I think that was another example of just the heat getting to some guys, and so he wanted to stay in there. But at that point, we just felt like, you know what, with the pitch count and with that issue, just let's go to the bullpen.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
That is Mark Kingston from earlier today as the Gamecocks win 8-3 over Ohio State. You know, more than anything, baseball is a game that not only is it one of redeeming features, but it's one that rewards those who, like Mark said, you know, have to wait their turn.
Yeah, and I think probably you never know what gets in to the mind of a pitcher, because I would think the last thing he wanted to do is he saw South Carolina maybe trying to play some small ball there, butt the guys over, and then maybe he got too comfortable getting a pitch across the plate, thinking that maybe he can strike this guy out, and the Gamecocks would have to come up with a big 2-out hit. But he served one right down the middle. I think Blair had 2 strikes on him, and he made it 2 fine, and Blair turned on it. As they say, he will remember this a long time to really give a blow that turned his team on when it looked like they were in dire straits.
And Corn, it will still be light out when they play at 5 o'clock, but not having to contend with the big heat of the day is certainly a big part, especially with how humid it was today in Greenville.
Oh, no question about it. I'm not sure, though, that they'll get any cover from the sun. Remember, it'll be 4 o'clock by the sun, 5 o'clock by the clock. It'll still be quite warm. When I walked over here from the air-conditioned press box, which was about 5:45, it was still very hot. So, you know, it's going to take its toll on anybody who has to overwork on the mound. That's why Cody Morris has got to be very efficient with his pitching tomorrow. He's got a good record coming in. He leads the Gamecocks with the best ERA among the starters at 3.80. He's 7-3 overall. So he's capable of going out there and giving the Gamecocks a very good start. I mean, this is what, you know, the Gamecocks hung their hat on Adam Hill and Cody Morris in particular to be the stalwarts on this pitching staff this season. And this is their chance. Hill was good today. He didn't go very deep. Oh, I nailed that. And didn't even hear the music.
You didn't hear the music at all?
No, not until I stopped talking. When I'm talking, it mutes everything else with this on the Hangout. What I need to do is pull up the doggone clock here again.
I tried to blast it a little bit when it started, so you would at least know when it started.
Yeah, I'm going to put my clock on here. Now I got should have had it on there to begin with. 7:30, 23, 24, 25.
I got 32, 33, 34. You're like,
is that right?
5-6 seconds behind me.
Maybe it'll catch up. But at least it gives me an idea of where we are. I think it just jumped. 37, 38, 39.
Right now I'm on 47, 48, 49, 50, 51.
No, I guess it didn't jump. It's all right. It's all right.
Pro say he got a question for you, Seth, if we have time.
Oh, sure.
I'm about to get him on the line now.
Okay. We'll get our man from Coastal first.
Lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yusuf English. Oh, would you be sure to record English and send it to me, please?
Okay.
Thank you. Did we get the audio working on the Twitter?
Yeah, that's working.
How'd you get it working?
New battery.
Uh-huh. Even when I'm not there, I'm there. Do we have some spare batteries? Did Kevin give you some, or did you buy some?
I bought 2. Hold on a second. Let me get Yusuf, man. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. We understand there's been a big blow in Conway. Let's go back down to Lane Harris, who is at Springbrook Stadium, where Coastal Carolina and LIU Brooklyn playing right now on the opening game of their NCAA baseball tournament game in Conway. Lane, what do you have? Hello, Lane. Do we have Lane? Apparently our phone system is acting up, so we'll try to get to Lane here. At least Lane here right now with us here. What's going on, Lane? How are you?
I'm doing fine. Can you hear me okay?
We can, yes. Go right ahead.
Oh, all right. This Coastal Carolina bottom of the 4th started off pretty tamely as 2 flyouts to the outfield, but senior catcher Matt Beard comes to the plate and strokes a single and keeps the rally going with 2 out. And then Seth Lancaster comes up later, hits a 2-run. Corey Wood comes in after Beard advanced to second on a wild pitch, and Corey Wood gets a single off the glove of Blackbird second baseman Tony Warnicki, and that scored Beard to make it 3-0. Next batter up, Seth Lancaster, works it all the way to a full count, and he hits his team-leading 20th home run of the season to put the Chanticleers up 5-0. Woody Woodall walked after him, and there's been a pitching change. Corey Hart has come in now with the Blackbirds on the mound. Anthony Veneziano cruising here with 6 strikeouts after 4 innings pitched. Chanticleers up 5-0 over the Blackbirds in the Conway Regional of the NCAA tournament.
Thank you, Lane. We've enjoyed your updates all throughout, and we'll continue to check in with you as the weekend warrants. Coastal Carolina 5, LIU Brooklyn nothing. Corn, we drastically transition to a little basketball as the good news for the Gamecocks got better with basketball recruiting earlier today.
Well, absolutely. And the Gamecocks needed some good news in in-state recruiting, and they got the commitment earlier today from Trey Hannibal, a 6'2" guard out of Hartsville. He picked the Gamecocks over several other big offers: Oklahoma State, Coastal Carolina College of Charleston, Stetson, and others would have become involved as well, but he decided to go ahead and end it and join Frank Martin in the Gamecocks beginning, not this season, but the following season. His coach, Yusuf English, joining us now here on Sports Talk on short notice, and we appreciate that. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing all right, man. It's a little short notice, but I do not mind anytime I get a chance to talk about one of my kids. I have no problem doing that.
I know that, and we thank you very much. Why today for Trey? Why did he reach the point here just a couple of weeks after getting the offer from South Carolina that today was a good day for him to make his commitment?
I think he said that it felt right. And it's not to say that any of the other offers didn't. I think he Trey's the type of kid that he would have felt comfortable anywhere he went. But it was something about the staff and Frank Martin that really reached out to him when he went down and visited. When he came back from his visit, he was like, "Coach, I think this is what I'm going to do." And after talking it over with his family, they came to the decision yesterday that, hey, man, this is what we're going to do, and let's go ahead and put it out there. He told me last year that during the season that whatever happened, he wanted to do it early. Wherever he committed, if he wanted it to be early because he wanted to go into his senior year without any pressure of having to decide where to go, so he could kind of just concentrate on the season. So this kind of played right into that.
From what you know from coaching Trey and what you heard from talking with Frank Martin and the staff there and what they observed about him and what they like about him, what do you see there in terms of the marriage of his skills and what Frank Martin requires of his players at USC?
He requires his players to play hard. And the one thing that I could say about Trey Hannibal is he plays hard, for 32 minutes. However long he's on the floor, he's going to play extremely hard on both ends of the floor. And he does a good job of getting downhill with the ball, which, Frank Martin likes for guards to do, get downhill, make good decisions with the ball, play great defense. He does a great job in the passing lane, which creates those fantastic dunk plays on the other end. He's just a high energy kid who loves to win, and I think that characteristic, that love for winning, that love for hard work, is really what kind of got married to Frank Martin's style of play. We play pretty much about the same way.
What can you tell us about Trey's connection to some of the other, highly touted in-state prospects? Because we know it's a big year for South Carolina in basketball recruiting. How much do you think that this could possibly be a domino effect for other players in the state?
Well, Trey's really close with a good bit of the top guys in the state. I don't know what conversations you've had with them. He jokes about it all the time. I should get some guys to come with me. But on all seriousness, Trey's he's a magnetic kid, and all of the guys, a lot of the top guys in the state are, like I just said, good friends with him. And I think that seeing him do it early and knowing that he's committed to going there, and he's a kid that people like to play with, I honestly feel like it'll make some dominoes fall in South Carolina's favor. When a kid of his caliber stay home, I think that was a big deal.
When you look at Trey's game, and as you say, he likes to play downhill, he likes to attack the basket. And it seems to me, Coach, more and more importantly, as players get stronger, the ability, especially of guards, to finish on contact at the rim. How is he at that?
He's amazing at that. He's had some spectacular dunks, even if he's knocked a little bit off. His body size and his strength allows him to finish strong at the hole with contact. And sometimes he goes up so hard, people move out the way because they don't want to end up in the highlight film. But Trey, a little known fact, Trey was in the weight room. He benched the most and he squatted the most on the team. So it's not like it's just all, physical and it's just God given. He works at it. And so when he gets to the hole, it's a man coming at you, not a child. So he does a great job of finishing. Doesn't alter his shot much to try to get away from the contact. He goes through it.
Talking with Yusuf English, head coach at Hartsfield High School, head coach of Trey Hannibal, who's committed to USC. Now, is he a pure point guard, or is he a 2, or is he a swing guard?
Trey can play the 1 through the 5. But I think on the next level, he's going to make a very, very good, even excellent point guard. He led our team in assists last year. I think his numbers was around 6.7 or something like that. He was second on the team in rebounds and second in scoring. He's a great all-around player. But his vision and his feel for the game is what I think will make him. It's just his innate ability to find his teammates is what's going to make him a very, very good point guard at the next level. He has something at that position that you can't teach. It's just something that's in a kid. And I mean, he can pass it very strongly with both hands, off the dribble. our center, Karan, was the beneficiary of a lot of that. He led our team scoring, but, shoot, those assists came from Trey getting to the hole and making the right decision. He does a great job at making the right decision, and that's what I think is going to make him a very, very good point guard at the next level.
So
but
how did
he's willing to do anything. He's just willing to do anything.
So how did the commitment come down today? I know he put it out on Twitter, but did he do it in person with the coaches, or did he just call them and tell them?
No, he did it in person with the coaches, I believe, yesterday. And then today he texted them this morning and said he was gonna put it out on Twitter today.
So he was in Columbia yesterday for a visit?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Did any other school make a strong run at him?
Yeah, I mean, I could tell like College of Charleston had a strong chance. They were right there. The coaching staff down there, Coach Powell, Coach Grant did a great job of being at the school and ingratiating themselves with Trey and him and his family, and they had I think had it not been Carolina, it would have been the College of Charleston. He really liked them. But it was just, I guess it was just a fit in the style of play. He wants to major in business, and on his visit he found out that South Carolina has a very good business program. So South Carolina checked all the boxes for him and his family. But
Coach,
it really would have. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We're just short on time, Coach, but thank you so much for the time, and congratulations to you and to Trey as well.
Oh, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
That's Yusuf English of Hartsville joining us here on Sports Talk. We'll give you another update from Coastal Carolina and also wrap things up on this Friday edition of Sports Talk.
Hey, Corey, where you want me to send this audio?
Let's just send it to pcornblue@learfield.com.
Okay, hold on.
Please. What's so funny?
I was talking to Will about something.
Hey, when I play audio on my end, do you hear it?
I hear it a little bit. It's not overpowering.
Do you hear that? Do you hear that
No.
or no? Okay. Trying to find Carolina's game so I can pull a that's live. Let's see here. How about not live? Let's see ESPN.
It's not good in my opinion. No, I have not. I have avoided the spread. There's Jenna Lilly back at the top.
Vegemite. Ever had a Vegemite sandwich?
Ain't that a English thing or?
That's an Australian thing, I
right?
believe. Yeah. There's a song that had that's a Vegemite sandwich. Very popular. Shit, how do I?
All right, while we're doing the next segment, I'll send it. I just saved it and everything.
Okay. Are we calling
He said he was going to do the audio.
Okay. I'll talk about the comments terminated the state newspaper on Bowen. Okay.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
It's all shot to clears in Conway right now as Coastal has taken a 7-0 lead on LIU Brooklyn. And the more they keep showing of that crowd, that place is packed to the gills in Conway. Again, fantastic scene out there. Still no start time yet announced here at Clemson. They're telling us they're probably not. I went to look at the outside corner at the top of the hour. There was no rain. It was no rain, but again, they were talking about the lightning, and they're saying now that the weather might not move out of here until 9. So you know what this is? This is karma payback for last week with you and Hoover, and I didn't get any of it. And now, and now I'm basically jobbed here.
Yeah. I sat there last year when they played. Let me think now. Last year. 2 years ago, Oklahoma State, I think we had some major weather delays that kept us there until the wee hours of the night to finish that up. So, it's a lot of fun when that weather starts moving in like that.
Other scores involving the NCAA tournament, Texas A&M leading Indiana 10-3. That'd be a mini upset in that regional. Cal State Fullerton also leading Baylor 3-2 in the top of the ninth of that regional. Troy still leading Duke 5-0. They have not restarted from the weather delay in Athens. Sanford and Florida State still have yet to get underway in Tallahassee as a result of that. We'll keep you updated on that. And in your regional corn, East Carolina, a 5-1 lead on UNC Wilmington. So we could get the 1-2 matchup in the winner's bracket contest tomorrow. Earlier today here at Doug Kingsmore Stadium, we were able to get the first game of this regional in between Vanderbilt and St. John's, a pitcher's duel, and really a stifling for Vanderbilt over St. John's. We talked about it, a 2-0 victory for the Commodores. Drake Fellows, 7 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 8 Ks. His 7th win on the season. Vandy got its runs off of a double in the opening inning and then a Jason Gonzalez solo homer in the 5th. They manage 8 hits. Their head coach has ties to the Palmetto State. Tim Corbin, former assistant under Jack Leggett, also former head coach Presbyterian. He talked about his victory and his team's performance over the Red Storm earlier today.
Well, just state the obvious. It was a very well-pitched game by Drake. From start to the finish for him was his 7th, but I thought he was more effective as the game went on. He pitched out of a tough jam in the 6th when first and second, you get the middle of their order up, and he struck 2 hitters out that typically don't go that way. And then in the 7th inning, I thought he came out and just attacked the strike zone. He was 0-2 to the first 2 hitters. I think the 3rd hitter, too, got a single, but then came back and struck out the next guy. So it was just a very effective ball game by him. The bullpen did well with Schaller and Day, and we got our hits. It was just one of those days. It was tough to pick up hits. It was very humid. Wind was blowing in a little bit. I thought Mooney did a nice job, too. You got to credit him because he slowed us down. But made some nice defensive plays at certain points, too.
Tim, I don't know if we can see if a performance is going to come like that, a pregame that Drake had. Anything you saw in his body language that thought this is going to be one of his better days?
Hey, pretty motivated kid. I mean, he said it. He competes well. When he gets the baseball, it's tough to take him out. He wants to go the distance. I think and you can see this gradually throughout the year as the innings become more pressurized, he starts to put his foot down a little bit more, and he's been a stopper that way. But I'm proud of him. He's made a lot of strides, really, in his work ethic off the field and how he's developed as a pitcher.
Coach, do you see your freshmen developing a little more as the season went along? It's been up and down, but do you see they're finally coming to be veterans maybe now, you could say?
I don't think they're freshmen anymore. They left school a long time ago, so they played enough, 56 games. I don't even look at them anymore. They're just players on our team. That's it.
Coach, what are your plans for tomorrow now with your pitching? Or do you look?
I don't know. We got a mystery opponent, so I don't. We'll just see how it plays out and then make a decision that fits best for us.
You have one for one team, one for another team, or is it just kind of?
I don't even know. I mean, we got a couple more starters, and I just think we want to match them up accordingly. It could be either or, but I haven't had time to think about it. I just want to enjoy this for a little bit.
In these kind of regionals, how important is it to get off to a quick start and win the first game?
Well, I mean, it's really important. And these games are tough to play now. Even when I was at Clemson, I remember these regionals, the first game, there's a lot of anxiety associated with it with the kids. It's just getting them to settle down so they can play. Typically, mistakes happen early, bad swings happen early, timing issues happen early. So once you get into the crux of the game, then it starts happening a little bit. And actually, I thought there was one inning where we hit some balls hard on the ground that didn't find any holes. But I just think once you get by this game, then everyone starts to settle in a little bit more, although the competition amps up too.
That's Vanderbilt head coach Tim Corbin speaking earlier today after his team's 2-0 win over St. John's. They'll play at 7 o'clock tomorrow against either Clemson or Morehead State. Still waiting on a start time for that tonight. Kyle Stanley has finished up his round at the Memorial. He's at 11 under par, shooting a 66 today. One shot better than Joaquin Neiman, who is at 10 under par, still on the course with 1 hole to play. Wesley Bryan is at 8 under par, 3 shots back. And also Dustin Johnson at 6 under par after shooting a 6 under 66 today after shooting even par for the opening round. Billy Haas at 5 under par, 6 off the lead. The state newspaper had an interview with Ray Tanner, basically at the conclusion of the SEC meetings in Destin, and spoke to the criticism that Tanner is getting on social media for basically the chance they took on Brian Bowen. I really don't know why the criticism is warranted, because like we said all along, this was going to be a flyer one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't understand why you get criticism from people unless you're just anti-USC people. It could be rival fans who were making fun of the Gamecocks for this not working out in their favor. He did nothing wrong. Remember, USC thoroughly investigated this situation from their standpoint, and apparently they were under the impression that the young man would be cleared by the NCAA and able to play. I think if they had discovered early on that this would be the ultimate conclusion, that he would not be eligible to play for another year, they never would have gotten involved. So I think that whatever they learned early on through their own investigation led them to believe that everything was going to work out in a positive way, and it did not. So no, I mean, Ray Tanner, Frank Martin, they should be commended for giving a kid a chance here. And the kid only wanted to go to college and play college basketball for a year or longer. So that's unfortunate. Speaking of the SEC, while we have a moment, they wrapped up the meetings today. And one of the, I guess, most talked about pieces of legislation approved by the presidents. Now, when you transfer within the league as a grad transfer, you can play right away, regardless of if a school wants to or tried to block you. No more blocking of grad transfers. So, Alabama has been in the news recently for blocking a backup. This is where I think Nick Saban is way out of bounds. You're talking about a reserve who's trying to transfer as a grad student, and he's been blocking them. That is no longer available to coaches now in the SEC. And if you're going to have a grad transfer rule nationally, then within your league, you should let them transfer and play right away.
And it makes sense because, you've given them or the equivalent of what you say is a 4-year scholarship, and the guy's got his degree. I mean, how can you tell somebody that's got their degree, well, wait a minute, you can't go anywhere now? Why can't I?
My only criticism of the deal is that this was not what the grad transfer rule was created for. It was created for academic purposes, and now it is being abused by the coaches. I mean, they're taking advantage of this rule to basically re-recruit a whole nother level of prospects again. They're scouring the rosters to see who are going to be grad students, who can help us. Are they ready to move on? And this has really become a whole nother world of recruiting for both basketball and football. That's not what the intention of the rule was when it was created, but it certainly turned out to be that way.
Yes, it's like checking the waiver wire, as they say.
Yeah.
We have a start time update, guys. They're going to start at 8:45. So,
oh, that's not bad. You're sitting there crying and whining to me. 8:45. Shoot.
Wait a minute. Here comes some more lightning.
They'll start at 8:45. I don't know if they'll finish before the end of the day, but we won't know where we are on Monday because of the way things might go out. But we'll continue our coverage throughout the weekend at SportsTalkSC.com, at SportsTalkSC on Twitter, of the NCAA tournament from Greenville, Clemson, and Coastal.
Yay! Great job, everybody. Great job. That was super. Great job. We pulled together a pretty good deal here. Pretty good deal.
Check and see if you got that email for me.
Okay. Looking back at last week's Hartsville was one of the teams we covered. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Yep, got it.
Oh, you got it? Good. Okay.
Yep, got it. Thank you. Let's go ahead and bang out a recruiting thing. I may have to change it over the weekend, but I can go ahead and put one in the can here.
Pro is not going to be here Monday.
Okie doke. I'm hoping one, if not both of us, will be there.